Evelyn had always exuded a magnetic charm, a captivating essence that commanded attention wherever she ventured. Yet, this evening, an unusual sensation lingered in the air. The air crackled with an unvoiced tension, a palpable change that suggested a metamorphosis, not only in the way others viewed her, but also in her own self-perception, and maybe even in the fabric of her marriage. The evening unfolded with an air of effortless elegance as she and William made their entrance at the gathering hosted by one of his college friends. The atmosphere was alive with laughter and chatter, as the rich aromas of premium whiskey and luxurious perfume wove together, crafting a sense of leisurely opulence. William brought Evelyn into the circle of his friends, his arm wrapped around her waist in a protective embrace, his voice a blend of warmth and quiet command. Evelyn felt the weight of their stares, sharp and insatiable, sending a shiver racing down her spine. She was familiar with such attention, yet tonight it bore a sharpness, a raw energy that awakened something profound within her. With a nonchalant air that concealed the underlying tension, William uttered a remark that transformed the atmosphere in the room. "Evelyn could enchant anyone in this place," he remarked, his voice playful yet tinged with implication. A quiet connection lingered among his companions, an unvoiced challenge that weighed heavily in the atmosphere. As the night deepened and the whiskey poured generously, the air thickened with an intoxicating, perilous energy. What started as innocent games soon transformed, a playful banter infused with double meanings that sent Evelyn's heart racing. In that moment, she stood at the heart of their gaze, each eye following her every motion, while the air around them buzzed with eager expectation. It began with a light-hearted challenge, a whimsical notion that she might share a kiss with someone other than her husband. Evelyn's heart raced as the air thickened with unspoken desires, weaving a tapestry of emotions that danced around her like whispers in the night. As her eyes met William's, she anticipated a look of disapproval, yet what she discovered was a quiet challenge, an unspoken invitation that filled her with courage. The kiss ignited a spark, a thrilling secret that coursed through her veins as her lips connected with another's. In that electrifying moment, Evelyn sensed a change within her, a breach that both disturbed and captivated her. The kiss signaled the start of a journey into the unknown. The glances became more daring, the drinks poured more freely, and Evelyn sensed her inhibitions starting to dissolve. An exhilarating thrill surged within her, ignited by the spotlight and the forbidden allure of the game. Each challenge drew her deeper into uncharted territories, realms of desire and defiance she had never before ventured into. William's gaze tracked her every movement, a storm of emotions swirling within him: possessiveness, jealousy, and an enigmatic shadow that eluded her understanding. His quiet watchfulness appeared to ignite her boldness, encouraging her to stretch the limits even more. Under his watchful gaze, Evelyn let herself be pulled further into the game, each challenge beckoning her onward, more daring than the one before, every moment infused with a tantalizing closeness. The atmosphere buzzed with an electric charge, heavy with unvoiced longings. The men observed her every action with keen interest, their remarks becoming increasingly animated, their motives more evident. One of William's friends challenged her to take a seat on his lap. Evelyn paused for a moment beneath William's intense stare, yet she soon responded with a bold lift of her chin. As she nestled onto the man's lap, a wave of anticipation swept through the room, igniting a spark of intrigue in the air. Once upon a time, there was a character known for his adventures. Her hands rested firmly on her hips, sending a shiver through her, a captivating blend of fear and exhilaration. The eyes of the other men trailed after her every movement, their words becoming increasingly bold. Evelyn felt her heart race as she clutched the silent pact that lingered between them. A line has been crossed. The excitement of crossing boundaries was exhilarating. With the electric energy surrounding her, Evelyn found herself taking bolder steps, her reservations dissolving with every challenge she embraced. She basked in the spotlight, savoring the influence she wielded over these men, the hidden longings she sparked within them. She held the very essence of their world, the focal point of their shared longing, and it filled her with excitement. Amidst it all, William stood as a quiet witness, his eyes locked onto her. His expression was a mystery, shrouded in shadows yet hinting at a dark satisfaction that danced at the corners of his lips. Once upon a time, in a world filled with wonder, there existed a tale waiting to be told. It was as though he found delight in her yielding to their playful contest. The intensity of his stare and the silent tension that hung in the air ignited her boldness, urging her deeper into this taboo territory. Evelyn balanced precariously, caught in the thrilling tug-of-war between exhilaration and, though trepidation lingered, the temptation became irresistible as the night unfolded. She yielded entirely, welcoming the allure and peril of defiance as she journeyed further into the depths of longing. This had transformed into something far beyond a simple game. It was a plunge into a perilous waltz on the edge of irreversible fate. The atmosphere grew heavy, a vibrant energy pulsating all around. She sensed that whatever unfolded next would forever change the trajectory of her existence. Not long after that initial, pivotal moment, locking lips with another man beneath William's keen eyes, night began to unravel in ways unforeseen, with her willingness igniting their imaginations. His friends suggested fresh games that went beyond mere playful challenges, calling for a deeper, more personal commitment. Their eyes sparkled with an insatiable desire as they sought further revelations. Evelyn experienced a whirlwind of fear and excitement, her heart racing wildly against her ribs. The initial challenge appeared to be straightforward. Just unbutton her blouse. A mere flick of the finger sight beneath their intense gaze. Gazes stripped her bare with their eyes alone. It felt monumental. She paused for a moment, with trembling fingers posed above the buttons. The silence deepened, echoing the frantic cadence of her heartbeat. In the shadowy corner, William lingered, his face a mask of mystery, yet the depths of his eyes whispered secrets of his troubled mind. He stood still, a silent observer, offering no protest, no intervention. And so, Evelyn complied, one button at a time, revealing herself to their insatiable gazes. Every unfastened button seemed to draw one deeper into a dark chasm of unspoken desire. As the last button surrendered its hold and her blouse parted, time itself appeared to freeze, the atmosphere heavy with expectation, a palpable energy swirling like the electric charge before a tempest. Yet, this was merely the dawn of their adventure, their attention honing in on Evelyn as the challenges escalated, becoming bolder, more audacious, and increasingly explicit. One of William's friends, the one with the assured demeanor, with a sly grin and an intense stare, he moved closer, challenging her to close the distance with a kiss. It wasn't her first kiss under such circumstances, but this one carried a weight all its own. This was more than a kiss. It was a surrender, a silent recognition of the perilous game they were playing, engaging in a delightful activity. Their kiss hung in the air, charged with an undeniable energy. Evelyn experienced a surge of excitement, a thrill ignited by her boldness, stepping over boundaries she had previously vowed never to cross. To safeguard, the other men observed with rapt attention, their eyes burning into her, drawing energy from the illicit scene playing out in front of them. The atmosphere in the room crackled with intensity, a vibrant force that tightened its grip with each fleeting moment. Then, like a dam bursting, the dares flowed in with increasing intensity, each one propelling Evelyn deeper into uncharted territory. Actions she had never envisioned herself undertaking transformed into reality as the men, fueled by her acquiescence, took turns delving into her form with a boldness that left her gasping for air. Within her, shame and excitement clashed, creating a thrilling mix of fear and an enticing secret that filled her with both fear and fascination. What troubled her the most was William's silence, his unspoken endorsement of the growing turmoil. He lingered in the shadows, his eyes locked onto her while his companions indulged in liberties with his wife. Yet he uttered nothing, a shadowy figure that ignited Evelyn's increasing dread. It was his silence, his passive acceptance, that unraveled her more than any of the increasingly intimate dares. The game took a wild turn. The men pressed on, their demands growing ever more intense until Evelyn, she was urged to cast aside all semblance of modesty, to reveal herself entirely before their eager gaze, every fibre of her being cried out in defiance, compelling her to stand firm, to restore her dignity. Yet, an irresistible power, a heady blend of trepidation and illicit longing, urged her onward. With trembling hands, she yielded, her body laid bare and vulnerable beneath their collective gaze. A tide of shame enveloped her, yet beneath it surged a thrill, a perilous exhilaration there. She felt the thrilling mix of fear and excitement. She sensed their gaze mapping every contour of her revealed figure, consuming her as if she were merely an embodiment of their shared longing. She found herself ensnared in a devious game, a mere piece in a power struggle crafted by her husband. William's friends took their turns, each one delving deeper, their touches becoming more intimate, more possessive, and through it all, William stood as a quiet witness, his eyes fixed and steady, a shadow of satisfaction dancing in their depths. Evelyn's mind spun in a whirlwind as she endeavored to grasp his motives, his quiet participation in her degradation. Why wasn't he halting this? Why wasn't he rescuing her from this nightmare that had started as a playful game? In that moment, as the fog of intoxication and desire began to lift, the truth emerged with a piercing clarity. William was savoring this moment. He took great pleasure in her surrender, in the humiliation she suffered at the hands of his friends. This was his desire, his necessity, to witness her dignity laid bare, transformed into nothing more than an object of their shared longing. The moment struck her like a thunderclap, breaking apart a delicate trust that had been the very bedrock of their bond. This was no longer a mere game. It had transformed into a plunge into the abyss, a harrowing descent into a realm of distorted yearnings and intricate power plays. The night stretched on, heavy with unspoken promises, and Evelyn felt the chilling certainty that whatever awaited her would irrevocably change the path of her existence. There exists a threshold, a point at which the spirit rises in defiance against a relentless tide of degradation. Yet, Evelyn had long since passed that point, her resolve shattered beneath the burden of the night's misdeeds. The games had transformed into a dark tale, a twisted journey into the realms of power and submission that transcended mere playful exploration. And the tale was far from finished. A profound stillness enveloped the room, laden with both expectation and unease. Then, one of William's friends threw down a challenge that rippled through the crowd. Leaving everyone in stern silence, he challenged Evelyn to embrace him fully. The crude words lingered in the atmosphere, seeping like venom from his mouth. Untamed and instinctual, for a fleeting instant, the world held its breath, every gaze fixed upon Evelyn, eagerly anticipating her reply. She paused, feeling the heaviness of this new expectation pressing down on her. The violation unfolded as a deeply personal surrender, surpassing anything Evelyn had ever encountered. Her eyes danced toward William, searching for a hint of disapproval, a glimmer of protectiveness that could draw her away from the edge. Instead, she was met with a silent nod, a quiet gesture that wove the threads of her destiny. William, her husband, the man who had pledged to cherish and safeguard her, was now allowing her descent into further humiliation. A wave of nausea surged through her, but it was swiftly eclipsed by an unusual blend of shame and an exhilarating secret. With hands that shook like leaves in a storm, Evelyn knelt before the man, her heart racing wildly, a frantic drumbeat echoing against her ribs. She sensed their eyes upon her, the intensity of their shared gaze searing into her very being. The room paused, an audience wrapped in silence, witnessing this act of degradation, a spectacle that danced on the edge of the sacred and the profane. As she wove her tale, the atmosphere shifted once more. The playful exchanges that had once danced through the air transformed into a thick, electric tension, laden with unvoiced longings. The men observed closely, their eyes shining with desire and a fierce sense of ownership, as they relished the power they held over her. One by one, they stepped into the spotlight, and Evelyn transformed, merely a conduit for their shared desires. Her mind wandered, separate from her physical form, as if she were a spectator witnessing the slow disintegration of her own being. Ideas transformed into the unattainable, and defiance became a mere whisper in the wine. The moment was stripped down to its essence, pulsating with raw energy. As the men around her responded to its undeniable pull, she held tightly to the remnants of her dignity. Yet, with every man's gaze, another shard of her resolve slipped away. Her sense of self began to fade, sinking into the shadows of surrender. As time flowed on, she sensed an increasing distance from the woman she had once known for wife, the person she used to be. From her essence arose a new entity, a product of their design, a mere trinket to be played with and then cast aside. A sudden awareness coursed through her, igniting a peculiar blend of excitement and fear. Their voices rose in volume, harsh and unrefined, erasing the fragments of her identity that still lingered. Evelyn found herself ensnared, too deep in the alluring embrace of surrender to voice any objections. Nurture, she had transformed into a mere object, a plaything for their entertainment. And though the knowledge was degrading, it ignited a thrilling, secretive excitement within her. Her emotions swirled in a tempest, pleasure entwined with shame, desire at odds with disgust. She wrestled with the clashing feelings, the excitement that danced with shame, the exhilaration that wove together with disgrace. How could she discover joy in this, in existing, deprived of her essence? And indeed, she did. The weight of that realization only intensified the experience, drawing her deeper into this clandestine realm. William stood in the shadows, a quiet observer to the unraveling of his wife's spirit. His expression was a mystery, a facade concealing the tempest inside. Yet, Evelyn could feel the shadows in his eyes, a perverse delight that sent shivers down her spine. This was the culmination of his desires, the outcome he had meticulously crafted through quietude and gentle nudges. His excitement was unmistakable, a reality that only deepened Evelyn's shame and feeling of treachery. Her heart raced as she recognized that she had stepped into a realm from which there was no turning back. The burden of that knowledge pressed heavily upon her. Yet, within the shame lay a twisted exhilaration, a secret thrill she found impossible to resist. She had stepped into a world she had never imagined, a place of surrender and humiliation that filled her with both fear and a thrilling sense of adventure. The shadow that lingered inside her, the aspect she had perpetually kept at bay, was now set free. She discovered a curious blend of repulsion and unexpected allure in her own vulnerability. The night unfolded in a relentless dance of surrender and degradation. One by one, William's friends stepped up, each giving Evelyn a little nudge to go even further. Her body reacted, even as chaos swirled in her thoughts and the weight of shame caught at her spirit. She found herself adrift, no longer the woman she had been mere hours ago. As the tides of change swept her away, the Evelyn who had entered the party was no more, transformed into a being molded by the yearnings of those around her. As the night deepened and Evelyn sank further into the abyss, she experienced an eerie sense of detachment from her own body, as if she were observing herself from afar. Emotions danced within her, a blend of shame and pleasure, fear and excitement, a tempest of feelings that unraveled the very fabric of logic. The epiphany hit with the force of a thunderbolt. Lines had been permanently blurred. The path they had chosen offered no retreat, only forward into the unknown. Evelyn stumbled into the bathroom, the door clicking shut behind her, a sound that resonated with the weight of her transformation. The unforgiving fluorescent light cast a stark glow on her image in the mirror, a warped reflection that scarcely echoed the woman she had once recognized. This was not the vibrant Evelyn who had stepped into the party. Instead, it was a mere echo, a shadow of the person she once was. Her eyes were wide, a canvas of shock, with shadows of something darker lurking just beneath the surface. She gazed into her reflection, seeking answers, a glimpse of the woman she once was. Yet all she discovered was the stark reality of her unraveling. The ethereal caress of their hands remained on her skin, a ghostly echo of their transgression. Their ravenous stares seared into her mind, taunting her surrender. And William, her husband, the man who had promised to safeguard and honor her, had remained a quiet bystander to her degradation. She had willingly embraced it all, his silent approval, his watchful gaze, and the thrill of her own shame that stirred something deep within him. She splashed cold water on her face, a desperate attempt to cleanse herself. But no amount could cleanse the remnants of the past, or the essence of who she had transformed into. Evelyn scrubbed at her skin, yearning to wipe away the lingering touch of those men, to cleanse herself of the shame that clung to her like a heavy shroud. Yet it was all in vain. The water intertwined with her tears, carving trails down her cheeks, a tangible reflection of the storm brewing inside her. Those tears stood as evidence of the profound transformation she had experienced. She stood at the edge, fully aware that her choices had led her here, and there was no turning back from the path she had chosen. Upon her return to the room, the air had thickened with an even greater weight. The atmosphere was heavy with an insatiable desire, posed to engulf her completely. Their eyes, once veiled in politeness, now pierced through her with an unfiltered fervor. They had savored her surrender, and their desire only deepened. In the corner, William held his silence, his eyes gleaming with a shadowy approval. His excitement was evident, a bold revelation of his complex yearnings. He took pleasure in her unraveling, his silence powerful affirmation of their shared depravity. With her surrender as their catalyst, the men pressed on, dismantling any facade of propriety. What lingered was a fierce, instinctual craving. Their voices, rich with a sense of ownership, called out for more. Evelyn's thoughts drifted into a haze, her form transformed into a conduit for their longings. She followed every command, each humiliating act drawing her further into a chasm of shame and illicit delight. She was a marionette, her strings tugged by their unquenchable desire, her will fading into the fog of surrender. Then it began, as William's friends competed fiercely for supremacy, not only among themselves but also for Evelyn's attention, herself, each propelled by a dark desire to seize what fragments still lay untouched in this intricate dance, engaged in together. Upon the stage this evening, their intricate game intensified with every fleeting instant. To them, Evelyn had transcended her humanity. She had become a coveted trophy, waiting to be seized. Her humiliation ignited their delight, and even as shame seared within her, her body revealed its secrets, responding with a sensation that stirred within her, a blend of revulsion and exhilaration. Ensnared in a relentless dance of decline and yearning, she found herself unable to escape their alluring grasp. A man, his voice laced with a chilling allure, proposed elevating the game to an unsettling new realm of transgression. Evelyn's breath caught in her throat as a wave of dread enveloped her. She felt an overwhelming urge to let out a cry, to flee. Yet, her form stood defiant, a silent rebellion against command. They guided her into the bedroom, a shadowy realm that hovered like a shrine of capitulation. The bed appeared to beckon her, a poignant emblem of the ultimate sacrifice. As they led her nearer, a chilling premonition wrapped its icy grip around her heart. Her eyes were met with an intense gaze, piercing through her defenses, leaving her dignity in tatters as her resolve faded away. Beneath their shared watchfulness, They shared her among themselves, each man delving deeper, probing her limits, boundaries, dismantling the barriers she had constructed. She struggled to keep her pose. Yet with every act of yielding, she sensed herself drifting further, disappearing into the depths of their cravings. Her thoughts swirled in a tempest of confusion and despair, her body swaying to an unseen rhythm, her will fading into a mere whisper of what once was. And through it all, William lingered in the doorway, his presence a shadowy figure. In the depths of the shadows, his desire served as a harsh reminder of his own involvement. And he took pleasure in the depths of her humiliation. His silence conveyed a rich tapestry of meaning. Evelyn had transformed into someone unrecognizable. She wandered, fragmented, a mere echo of the woman she had once been. Captivated by power, her spirit lay heavy, burdened by the enormity of their shared transgression. As the night deepened, a heavy truth began to envelop her. The descent was inescapable, a journey into the depths that offered no way out. A relentless spiral of degradation enveloped her, completely consuming her essence, rendering her a captive of William's treachery and the unquenchable cravings of his companion. William stood by, a quiet sentinel watching over her unraveling, his eyes glinting with a shadowy pleasure as she was enveloped by the abyss. The air was thick with anticipation, as eyes locked in a silent dance of intent. Each predator posed for the moment to strike, hands stretched out, driven by an insatiable hunger, towards the prey that, despite the chaos within, yielded to the inevitable pull of fate. In a realm where thoughts danced chaotically, lost among a tide of overwhelming sensations, a chilling clarity emerged. Control slipped away, irrevocably lost, never to be reclaimed again. As the night unfolded, their actions became increasingly fierce, their demands more relentless, driving Evelyn further into a state of surrender. Layer by layer, they peeled back the final remnants of identity, casting emotions into chaos, a dizzying mix of ecstasy and sorrow, desire and humiliation. As time flowed onward, her identity began to dissolve, revealing only an empty facade. Then, William stepped forth from the shadows. His presence enveloped Evelyn, a shadowy figure drawing near, as if the very air crackled with tension. A dance of hunter and hunted unfolding in the dim light. He stepped into the scene, his touch a blend of the known and the unsettlingly strange in this moment. A twisted sense of comfort enveloped her. For now, she found solace in the shared experience of despair. Yet, the dawning awareness that her husband was complicit in her humiliation only intensified the despair that loomed, ready to engulf her. The man, once a sworn guardian of love, now found himself entwined in a web of betrayal, a bitter irony that cut deeper with each passing moment. As fatigue took the place of an unquenchable desire, the frenzy of depravity faded, leaving only the weight of a grim aftermath pressing down on already burdened shoulders. Evelyn lay there, marked and violated, her mind a shattered landscape, unable to grasp the full extent of the damage inflicted upon her soul, irrevocably altering the course of her life forevermore. The room grew still, the remnants of laughter and boisterous jests dissipating as William's companions left, each one wearing a self-satisfied grin that hinted at their victory. The atmosphere thickened, laden with the gravity of recent events. William drew near, his eyes sparkling with a satisfaction that sent a shiver racing down her spine. He surveyed the scene, his presence casting a long shadow over the wreckage he had orchestrated. Evelyn met his gaze, her heart heavy with the weight of a truth that loomed large. This night had transformed everything. The path ahead was irrevocable, her surrender complete, her essence shattered beyond mending. The shadows they had both entered now wrapped around her entirely. His smile unfurled upon his face, slow and measured, tinged with a hint of malice. It was a warped echo of the affection they had once known, now unrecognizable in its distortion. He had triumphed, and Evelyn was fully aware of it. Their bond was irrevocably shattered. She was his now, entwined with him in ways that eluded her understanding, a treasure to be cherished or discarded at his whim. The truth enveloped her, heavy and oppressive, snuffing out the final glimmers of her former self. This was the world she inhabited now, shaped by the flames of the decisions made that night, a world from which there was no turning back.